Hello and welcome. Today, we're tackling one of the biggest, most confusing questions in the world of nutrition. Does when you eat matter as much as what you eat? We're going to cut through all the noise and look at what the science actually has to say.
So you've heard it all, right? Eat a huge breakfast, but then a tiny dinner. Oh, and whatever you do, don't you dare eat after 8 p.m. The advice is just all over the place, and honestly, it's enough to make your head spin. But today, we are going to get some real, solid answers.
So we're going to get right to the bottom of this whole meal timing debate. And we're going to do it by looking at this really cool scientific showdown that basically puts different eating schedules head to head.
It really feels like for every single diet rule out there, there's another one that's the complete opposite, and someone somewhere swears by it. So you know what? Today, we're just going to ignore all that noise. We're going to focus on one clear, really well-designed study and see what the data actually tells us. It's just one study, sure, but its results are incredibly revealing.
Okay, before we dive into the study itself, we need to get on the same page about the main strategy they were testing. It's probably one of the most popular ways to manage meal timing right now. It's called time-restricted eating.
The whole concept is actually brilliant in its simplicity. Instead of obsessing over what you're eating, your main focus becomes when you're eating. The most common approach, and the one used in this study, is the 16-8 method. You fast for 16 hours straight, and then you fit all your meals into an 8-hour window. It's really less about counting calories and more about getting your timing right.
All right, let's get to the main event. A recent study set up this awesome 12-week showdown to really figure out what works. You can think of it like a health competition with 4 different teams, and each one is trying a totally different strategy. So for 3 whole months, researchers tracked 61 women. This gives us a really solid amount of time to see some real, meaningful results. You know, this isn't some quick 2-week fad diet. This is a serious, deep dive into how these habits actually affect the body over time.
And here are our contenders. First up, you've got Team Early. These women were eating from 8 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon, and they were exercising. Then there's Team Late, doing the exact same exercise plan, but their eating window was from noon to 8 p.m. After them, we have the Late Eaters Only group. Same late window, but here's the twist: no exercise. And finally, the control team, who just went about their normal lives. The stage is officially set.
So, after 12 long weeks of everyone sticking to their plans, what happened? This is where things get really, really interesting.
Wow. I mean, the results show a massive difference. Team Early and Team Late. Remember, those are the 2 groups that combine their eating window with exercise. They absolutely crushed it. We're talking about losing around 11% and 8% of their body weight. And the other 2 groups? Barely any change. It's night and day.
And this just perfectly sums up the study's biggest finding. The researchers themselves said it best. Mixing time-restricted eating with physical activity is what really leads to huge improvements. It's not one or the other. The real magic happens when you combine them, probably because it just supercharges your metabolism and helps your body handle energy so much better all day long.
Okay, so we know combining diet and exercise is the key. But let's zoom in a little closer on our 2 winners, Team Early versus Team Late. Since they were both exercising, did the actual timing of that 8-hour window make any difference at all?
And the answer here is so fascinating because there wasn't one single runaway winner. Each team had its own unique strengths. Team Early, for instance, saw a bigger drop in body fat, and they lowered their bad LDL cholesterol. But Team Late had some awesome wins too, with fantastic fitness gains and better markers for liver health.
Let's just pause on this number for a second. A 7.44% times reduction in fat mass for Team Early. That is a really significant targeted loss of actual fat, not just weight on a scale. And for your metabolic health, that is a huge, huge win.
But here's where it gets tricky, a little plot twist. Team Early, even with all that fat loss success, also lost a small amount of lean muscle mass. Now that's a critical detail because muscle is basically your body's metabolic engine. It suggests that while eating early is amazing for fat loss, you really have to pay attention to preserving that muscle.
When it came to pure fitness, though, the story was crystal clear. Both of the exercising groups saw incredible gains all across the board. They got way stronger, their endurance shot up, and they even had more explosive power. So, the big takeaway here is, if your goal is getting fitter, combining time-restricted eating with exercise just plain works, period. It doesn't really matter if you start at 8 a.m. or at noon.
So what on earth does all this mean for you in your real life?
Let's take all this data and boil it down into a simple, straightforward strategy that you can actually use.
Okay, here's your 3-step game plan. Number 1, exercise has to be non-negotiable. It was the most powerful factor for success in this entire study. Step 2, add a time-restricted eating window. When you combine it with the exercise, it just supercharges your results. It's way more powerful than doing either one by itself. And number 3, if you want that extra edge, specifically for fat loss and getting your cholesterol in check, the science here suggests that an earlier eating window just might be the way to go. At the end of the day, what this study really shows us is that stacking good habits together creates this powerful effect that's way bigger than each habit on its own. It's not just about diet or just about exercise, it's about how they work together. So the final question I have for you is this: what 2 positive habits could you start combining starting tomorrow? Thanks so much for joining me.